Hello guys, and welcome to another part of my melee combat system tutorial series. In this episode I'm gonna show you how to create movement for your in-place animations, how to create attack tracing, and how to deal damage to your enemies. So first go to your third-person character. We will need to create two variables here. One will be called movement value, and it will be of the type float, and another one will be called left/right, and it will be of the type boolean. Now we need to create one function, let's call it movement, and first it will check if left or right is true. If it's not, we need to get mesh, scroll down. From mesh we need to get forward vector, and we need to add movement input. Scale value will be our movement value, and now for the false path we need to get right vector, and copy add movement input, and set movement value to scale value. Now we can return. Now with this function created, we need to create anim notify that will start or stop this function. So go to your animations, right click, select blueprint class, click on all classes and type here anim notify, select it and call it anim notify movement, open it, and right here in functions, click on override, receive notify, and right here we need to create our notify. So first we need to get player character, cast it to third person character, and now we need to create three variables right here. First one will be start movement, second one will be left/right, the last one will be movement value. All of them will be editable and movement value will be of the type float. Now we need to check if start movement is true. If it is, we want to get character movement and we want to set the rotation rate to 0. Now we need to set left and right and movement variables from our third person character to our variables in anim notify. And after that we want to set timer by function name. Function name will be movement, object will be third person character, it will be looping, and the time will be 0.01. And now we can return. In our false path, we want to set rotation rate back to the rotation rate of our character, which should be 540. And we need to pause timer by function name. Function name will be, of course, movement. And object will be third person character. Now we can return. With this anim notify created, we can go to our animations and we can set the movement within them. You need to set the notifies when you want to start moving and when you want to stop. If you right click, go to add notifies, right on top you've got your own notify that you created. You can set it and you need to set it again when the movement stops. Now when you click on your notify, you can see here that you get start movement, left, right, and movement value. If you want your movement to start, you will just click start movement. And if you want to move forward, you need to set this number from 0 to 1. The 1 represents maximum walk speed value that your character have. You can check it in the character movement. Right under character movement walking, you get your max walk speed. So 600 represents 1. And if you want to move slower but still forward, you can just type 0.2. If you want to move backwards, you will just type -1 or -0.2 if you want to move slower, but it cannot be more than 1. If you want to move to the left side, you will just set left and right, and positive numbers are left side and negative numbers are right side. Right in this attack, I want to move forward just a little bit, so I'm gonna uncheck the left and right and set this to 0.4. Now if we test it and play, you can see that my character moves just a little bit. To show it even more, I'm gonna set this to 1. You can see that he moves quite a lot and that's not what I want. So I'm gonna set it to 0.4 again. And you can do this for every animation that you have. It doesn't need to be just an attack. It can be whatever you want. And it's easy way how to implement movements to your in-place animations if you don't have root motion. Now let's jump to the attack tracing. So first we need to create our enemy. You can just duplicate your third-person character and call it master enemy. You need to open it and delete everything that you have right here. Delete every function that you created and delete every variables that you have. If you are done with that, you can delete camera boom and follow camera 2. And now we can reference our master enemy. But first we need to create widget for his health. So go to the user interface, widget blueprint, and let's name it enemy health. Open it and just add progress bar to your canvas panel. Click on progress bar, rename it to health, set the size to 230, choose your background color, and down here in the appearance choose the color for your health. I'm gonna go with the red. Now go back to your master enemy and let's add component right here. It will be widget component and it will be called enemy health. Click on it and drag it to the mesh so it will be its parent. And right here in the viewport you can set where you want your health to be displayed. And in the user interface set the space to screen, set the draw size to 230, set the widget class to the enemy health and draw at desired size true. Now we need to somehow update his health, so let's create two variables right here. One will be current health and the second one will be max health. Both will be editable and both will be of the type integer. Now we need to create function that will be called update health. It will be really easy, just drag your enemy health widget and get user widget object, cast it to enemy health, get your progress bar, set %, now get your current health and max health, type to float, divide them, and set it to in %. Now we can return. Go to the event graph, set event begin play, and drag the update function here. Now we need to set his health, so I'm gonna choose for the max health 200 and for current health 185. Compile, save, and if we drag him right in our world and play, you can see that he got his health updated. Now for dealing damage to ourselves and to the enemies, we need to create interface. So right click, go to blueprints and select blueprint interface. Let's call it health damage interface. Open it and let's name the function dealing damage. It will have two inputs. One will be named damage and it will be of the type integer, and another one will be called sender and it will be of the type actor. Now if you don't know what blueprint interfaces are, it just allows for a common method of interacting with the multiple different types of objects and actors that share some specific functionality. In this case, it will be dealing damage. To set the blueprint interface, you need to go to third person character, class settings, and right here you need to add your health and damage interface. We need to do the same thing for our master enemy. And now we can finally go to the attack tracing and dealing damage to the enemies. So first go to your weapons and to your master weapon. We need to create function right here. It will be called attack trace. And in the event graph we need to create custom event. It will be called hit event. It will have two outputs. It will have two inputs. One will be damage of the type integer and another one will be hit and it will be of the type hit result. Now for this we need to create one new variable here. It will be called damage. It will be of the type integer and it will be of course editable. First we need to set it from our hit event. After that we need to get all actors of class. Class will be master enemy, and from out actors we want to for each loop. We need to check if our hit result is equal to the master enemy. So drag off hit actor and type equal to the array element. And I forgot we need two more variables here. One will be called damaged enemy. It will be of the type master enemy. And another one will be already damaged enemy. It will be of the type master enemy but array. Now we need to set the damaged enemy to our array element here, and after that we want to check if it is the enemy that we hit, and if we didn't already hit him, we can check it pretty easily. Just type and get your damaged enemy and get already damaged enemy. From already damaged enemy, type contains, set it to the damaged enemy. In the return value, type not, and set it to the end. Now if we know that it is the enemy that we hit and we didn't already hit him, we need to add the damaged enemy to the already damaged enemy array, so we cannot hit him again in the same attack. And after that we can check if we hit him with light attack or heavy attack. So get character reference, get light attack, get heavy attack, and if light attack is true, check if heavy attack is true. If you have some other attacks, you can set them here too. But now we just need to get our damaged enemy. Type health damage interface call. The damage here will be our damage integer, and the sender will be character reference. Now copy it down for the heavy attack. And if you want to deal different damage with light and heavy attack, you can just create another variable that will be called heavy attack, and from the character reference you would get equipped weapon, and from that you will get your light and heavy attack and set them to the damage. I'm just gonna do simple math here, so I'm set it plus, get my damage again, I'm gonna set it times 0.3, truncate it, and set the return value to the plus, and set the whole number to the damage. Now with this done, we need to somehow call this whole custom event that we created, and for that we need to go to each weapon, and right in the viewport we need to create some collisions for it. I'm gonna choose box collisions for this. First one will be main collision, and it will just indicate where all the collisions will be at. And when you get your main collision set up, we need to create small collisions in the main collision. If you have more smaller collisions here, the attack tracing will be a lot better. Now if you have your main collision set up, we need to set more collisions within the main collision. You need to set up the smaller collisions something like this. The main collision here is just to move every smaller collision together. If you have more smaller collisions, then the tracing will be even better, but I don't suggest overdoing it. This is just fine. Always don't forget to check where are the collisions facing, so if you uncheck the hidden in game and play, and equip weapon, you can see that I got my collision right, and if it will be on the back side of the sword, you need to move it forward. So now I'm gonna check hidden in game again and go to the event graph, right click and type attack trace event, and we need to start with for each loop. From the array, type make array, and right here you need to set all your collision from your weapon but not the main collision. Now if you have it, we need to set line trains for objects. From actors to ignore, make array, and get your character reference and set it there. From object types, make array again and set it to pawn. If it didn't update the for each loop, just uncheck this and set it there again. Now get world location and get world rotation. The return value of world location will be starting position, and from our rotation we want to get forward vector. From the return value, vector times float will be 5. And now we need the world location and subtract it with the return value of this vector and set it to the end. We want to check if we hit something, so set the return value to the condition, and if we hit something we need to call hit event. Of course the hit will be our out hit, and the damage will be the damage of the weapon. You can choose whatever number you want. I'm gonna choose 50 and just get damage and plug it in. Now for you to actually see the tracing of the objects, we want to draw the book type to for duration, and it will be 0.2. And I forgot we need to trace for complex collisions. Now with this done, we need to go to the animations and to every attack, and we need to set notifies that will trigger the tracing. So for example, right here I want the tracing to start, so I'm gonna create a new notify that will be called start attack trace. And right here I want to stop the tracing, so I'm gonna create a new notify called stop attack trace. I'm gonna do this for every light attack that I have now. And if you're done with this, go to your third person enemy blueprint and right click and call the notifies. Get your third person character here, get equipped weapon, and now we need to set timer by function name. Object will be equipped weapon, function name will be attack trace, it will be looping, and the time will be 0.01. And the stop attack trace we need to pause, timer by function name will be attack trace again, and the object will be equipped weapon. And after the stop attack trace we need to get already damaged enemies and clear it, so the array will be empty after the tracing is done. And the last thing we need to do is in our master enemy, we need to call the interface that we created, so type event dealing damage, and we need to set the current health to the current health subtracted by the damage, and now we need to update health. Now if we play and equip the weapon, you can see the red tracing here, and if we go near the enemy and hit him, you can see that we now deal damage to him. Now if we add more enemies here, play and equip weapon, you can see that we can damage more enemies in just once. So that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. I hope this tutorial helped you somehow, and bye.